Good morning, Spencer. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Collin, and we're going to be talking about your internship here from the University of St. Francis. All right. All right. So, what major are you?
I'm a criminal justice major.
Criminal justice major. And what grade are you?
I'm a senior.
Senior. Must be pretty happy to finally get out. Get out of here, right?
Yeah, it's scary going off into the next chapter, but it's definitely fun to think about moving on. And I don't know, I still have an extra semester that I'm staying for, but yeah.
Okay. So what brought you what inspired you to go into criminal justice?
I'll be honest, I never knew what I wanted to do at first. I started here as a graphic design major because I always liked doing that kind of stuff, loved videos and Photoshop and everything like that. But I had friends, like my family friend, he was a police officer. Always thought his job was really cool. Always wanted to be a DNR, which is basically you're just game warden and stuff like that out in the lake and everything. So I always thought that would be cool. I still think DNR would be pretty cool to do at some point. But yeah, so after I decided that the art degree takes too much time, I said, I'm going to go do criminal justice. That was the only other thing I really wanted to do. So,
I mean, it's not uncommon for 18, 19-year-old kids to come in, not know what you're doing, and so realizing maybe graphic design maybe wasn't your thing, and switching over to criminal justice and actually pursuing it must be very satisfying, and not many college kids be able to do such things, right?
Yeah, I wasn't liking school for a little while there. Then I switched to criminal justice, and it was the first time I've actually liked school. Sitting down, I didn't regret not going to class. Like, I would always want to go to class every day. I enjoy going to the classes. This is actually information I like to learn about. So it was actually a good change of pace.
So you were saying how. So let me answer this question first. So, was there anything like in particular that graphic design did not have that social justice did have that made you maybe actually enjoy going to school and attending classes, doing the schoolwork?
Well, I liked doing the art stuff that it was, but it was more the time, because it was 3-hour classes per one, and they kind of act like you don't have any other classes. And so then you're balancing those 3-hour classes, and then once you put 3 hours on top of that outside class for each one, on top of your other classes, and then football, I was running out of time, and I just wasn't doing good in any class.
Yeah, I can fully relate to that. So you're saying it was really hard to manage your time with the amount of the workload from the graphic design classes and balancing all the other classes, including extracurriculars and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. It was a little too much for me, I'll be honest.
Hey, it's completely understandable. Some people can do this, people maybe just not for them. Maybe I can completely understand that. We're gonna switch over back to football, if you don't mind. Okay. You must really like football to be able to pursue it in college, right? And what kind of brought you into football?
Well, ever since I was little, I've been playing since kindergarten, and I actually got to start a year early, and I played up. And then ever since I was little, I'd always played up for a while with older kids, and then it was finally to the point where I was in my age group, and then I kept playing all the way through, and I discovered I liked defense. I played defensive end ever since I was in kindergarten, basically, and I've stayed all the way through till college, and I've always loved it. Why did I always say that? He's a safety. But whatever. Football football was fun because I could hit people. And honestly, that was my biggest thing. When I was growing up, I thought football was only tackling people. Pee Wee football for me was every person I saw, I tackled. O-lineman, tackled him, got back up, tackled the next person I saw. It got me into it, but it's not really how you're supposed to play, and I learned it slowly after. But yeah, that's really why I liked it so much. I fouled out of everything in basketball. Every game fouled out. Couldn't do that. Baseball was fun, but wasn't physical, and so I just loved hitting people every day and getting out like that.
Gotcha. I just want to clarify something. You said when you were younger, you started a year early and played up. So you were like playing like 2 years ahead of you, or like can you just clarify that real quick?
Yeah. So one of my family friends, they were 2 years older than me, and so when I came in, it started at I think first grade, or maybe it's kindergarten. I can't remember, but I remember I started a year early. And I started playing with them because it's 2 years in one league. And then I moved on, and then the next year it was actually the right grade. But for 2 years I would play up with them for some games.
Okay.
Like the postseason, I'd play up with them.
Okay, I got you. That explains a lot. I was a little confused by that. Like, what, you're 4 playing with 6-year-olds? I was just a little confused. But also, and you also mentioned that you played other sports besides football. You played basketball. Was there any more?
I've played basketball, baseball. I wrestled for 7 years. I did track. I stopped basketball in middle school. My dad always been a big basketball fan of mine is. So
got you.
Yeah, and so he told me at least try out for the basketball team. I made the A team, and I never came to a practice, and I went instantly the next day to the wrestling. And then I stopped baseball after middle school and picked up track and started throwing shot put and stuff like that.
Okay. So, I mean, it seems like you were very involved in sports. You must really loved all types of sports. So what made football stand out?
Honestly, it was always there. Like I said, I started when I was real little, and I was always somewhat good at it. So I think that's what pushed me towards it even more. And my position didn't take as much finesse like some other sports where it was you have to be super good at this. You can just hit people. Like literally, that's why we tell people all the time. It was, why do you like football? I gotta hit people hard, and I gotta run down the line and hit people. So that was my big reason why I like football all the way through. Even now, it's always fun to run down the line and hit someone hard. Doesn't matter if they have the ball or not.
So in high school, coming in high school, that's where things are going to become serious, right? So you said you dropped baseball, you dropped basketball already. What were the sports you did through those couple of years in high school?
Wrestling, football, and track.
Okay.
Those are the 3.
Yeah, most kids, at most you could do is 3. It's kind of rare if you do anything more than that. Yeah. And it's already hard enough to do all three sports. I only did 2 sports in high school, so I couldn't even imagine doing 3. So so yeah, it seems like you were able to balance your time evenly. All those sports were in different types of seasons: fall, winter, spring seasons, and they all seem to bounce off each other a little bit, and it kind of circles all the way back to football. So were you always like, did you come into high school like already really, really good, like you were already on the A team, the varsity team, or was it a struggle to come in?
I started out, I was smaller compared to a lot of guys, and not many freshmen, if any, were allowed to ever play varsity coming in. But my sophomore year, I started playing varsity, but freshman year, it was just freshman football, and I remember it was fun because you're only with freshman class and you're playing against nothing but freshman teams. And then we got to sophomore year, and I begged my coach to let me play varsity because it's boring. JV was boring. I felt like it was too easy. And then I started playing both. And then I finally worked off to the point where I didn't have to play JV because they wanted to give other people reps, and I was like, it's not fun. It's not fun running past somebody every play and not getting like touched per se.
So, were you humbled by the fact that you wasn't on varsity younger?
Yes and no, because I had a couple of buddies that were getting looked at by the high school coach, by the varsity coach sooner than I was, and because they were also bigger than me. I was never the biggest guy. I was real skinny. I went from, I don't know, I never really gained too much weight until my senior year. So I was always like 180, 190. Then finally, towards my senior and junior year, I got to 220. But yeah, it was kind of hard thinking like how I put all this work in, and you're looked at as too small all the time for it. But I mean, speed works too, I guess.
Got you. So it must have been pretty satisfying to finally get your own, right? It was pretty satisfying to finally get some playing time, finally get the respect that you deserve, right?
It was always, it was nice. I'm trying to think. I don't know, it just felt like I should be there. Like, I remember my first time in, I started out as pump block. So I was just put in there to run fast and try to block a punt. And that was my first play on varsity. And then I broke 2 blocks, and then I started getting more and more playing time. And it was nice because I think the gratification from my coach is what really like drove it up. Because I've been with him. My D-line coach was the same coach I've had since 7th grade all the way up to my senior year of high school. So being with him and him telling me like good job, blah blah, was always really nice.
I mean, I'd love to have some gratification when I'm playing, right? So you have the same coach. So did you guys go to maybe a secondary type of school thing, or how did that work?
No, so he was our 7th grade coach when I got into middle school. And then next year, he got moved up to the 8th grade coach. Then our 8th grade year, he got moved up to her freshman coach. And then my sophomore year, he was the varsity D-line coach. So every year we got older, he moved up. So
that is wow. That's very, very rare, and it must be very comfortable to have the same coach who knows you and knows how you play, move up with you, grow up with you. That must be. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, it was insane just for 2 reasons. As you have the same coach that really knows you all the way through, but then you also have the teacher in the class that you can always go to, or you can always be there. Like, even if you just have a book bag you need to throw somewhere real quick, or like a duffel bag, his room's always open. You can sit in there and all the way through. You always have him for something. He's always in the school.
So he was also a teacher?
Yes, he was a history teacher, like most football coaches.
Yeah. Yeah, my coach was a history teacher, so. Was he a teacher at your middle school as well?
Yes, he was the world history teacher in our middle school, and he was our high school history teacher, but he was also still world history. So our head coach was the U.S. history teacher.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to finish off the discussion, coming into your senior year, you're a college athlete now. When did you start to get looks from colleges? Or
I never really pushed out to like try to get like scholarships or anything like that. I'd go to camps every now and then, but I didn't know how the like recruiting process worked. Like my brother knew, like he was older than me. Basketball was different where they come out to you, and football we learned that you have to reach out to them because there's so many people and they're not going out to recruit at every game. There's no like AAU stuff. So I never really went out for recruiting, and my big thing was my senior year. If I don't get into a college, get a college scholarship, I will go in the military. So I didn't get any looks at it until probably late junior year. And that's where it all started. I've always watched St. Francis, so then one day they came and talked to me, and they would kept talking to me, and I just signed with them.
Well, I remember when I signed, I felt on top of the world. Do you ever have that kind of feeling?
Yes, I did. I was also worried at the same time because it was the first time my coaches saw me with I had elbow surgery, and so it was a mixed feeling of I'm excited to sign, but at the same time I don't want the coach to come in here and see me with a bad elbow right before I sign. I was afraid they were going to take it away or something like that.
You were injured?
Yeah, I tore my UCL, my elbow.
Okay.
And yeah, I had to get Tommy John surgery from wrestling season. So I signed during wrestling season. So it was a pretty scary time.
Got you. Well, it's been a pleasure to have a really conversation with you, Spencer, and going through school and your professional life and your athletic life. So it's been a pleasure. You have a good day. Dude, I don't even know what timer we're at, dude. That thing